Pro Series. Welcome, folks. You join me, Ernest Page, and the team at round 5 at Spa. And of course, this is the Mercedes-Benz ATK Pro Series, powered by, of course, none other than Mercedes-Benz. And the cars that the guys will be taking part in, of course, in this championship will be Mercedes-Benz, and a controversial one at that tonight, but more about that later. We've got, of course, the usual sponsors on board. We've got Motorsport South Africa, where all the drivers are competing for a spot in the MSA Showdown later on in the year. Kailami 9 Hours, of course, officially linked to the ATK Pro Series, and Coach Dave Academy, making sure that all the drivers have the setups that they need and the pace that they want. This is welcome once again to the ATK Pro Series, and as I was saying earlier on, I'm joined by the team and Marius Roberts, Gran Turismo time. It's GT night, Monday night. Welcome once again, and the drivers are going to be driving a Mercedes that you don't like the driver of.
No, listen, they are going to be driving their own versions of a great car. It's just that particular driver that I'm not a massive fan of.
Well said, sir. Well said.
But we are in for an unbelievable night, because this is a killer car and track combo. I mean, it's just to be in a 2017 F1 car. I mean, if I remember correctly, that would have been before Halos. So the cars looked super sexy. They were super fast, smashing all of the records. And you get to a track like Spa, where you can really get to benefit from the incredible downforce that makes the Formula One car so special. So I think it's going to be a hell of a ride for the drivers.
Well, we've got someone with us here in the booth as well. It's going to be giving us some technical information. Stephen Berry, welcome once again. And briefly, could you tell me what is so special about this car and this track combination, but more so the car? I'm very interested to see a Formula One car of old doing the rounds around an iconic track like Spa.
Hey, thanks, guys. Well, hi to everyone. I wouldn't say old, 2017 not been that long ago. Gran Turismo, we have the F1500T, which is a 1980s turbo Gran Turismo car, but
no turbo lag on that, eh?
A huge amount. But tonight we've got Merc, Marius was saying about it not having the halo. I think it's the first version with the halo.
Okay.
Another thing that's quite interesting to look out for is DRS is available on these cars, and there's no zones in Gran Turismo, so you can basically use it whenever you want.
Wow. So what an incredible car. I don't think this one's got the halo. We're going to have to wait and see for the in-game footage. This is what's called the Mercedes, no halo, confirmed there by producer. Mercedes AMG F1 W08 EQ Power Plus 2017 is the full name. Now, you know these guys meant business with that name.
It's interesting what Stephen was talking about there. Obviously, in Gran Turismo, you'd have those zones for DRS. So what he's saying, basically, Stephen, anytime that car, is pointed in a straight line, it's going to open the wing.
Yeah, anytime they push the button, I actually think you can probably hold it through a corner as well, but then you'll be having the effect of no downforce. So Stephen, probably wouldn't be the best idea going through El Rouge and Rayon.
Oh, no. But do they have to push the button? I thought it would just be the minute you put your foot down, in other words, the button being the throttle or the pedal, it opens automatically if the car's straight. So that's how I understood it.
No, in Gran Turismo, it has a actual push to use feature.
Okay.
And you have to have the button held down. Obviously, you can allocate it on your steering wheel. So,
Steve, are you telling me that these drivers are going to be using that as part of the controls to get the fastest possible lap?
Correct. So as much as possible, you're going to want to have that rear wing open for the high top speed, but it is available to everyone.
Another interesting element getting added there then, Steve, man, that is incredible. These drivers are not only going to have to cope with driving around the circuit with that fast car, but Marius, we've seen these guys. We've got the name of some of the drivers on screen there. Division 1, Dean, Cornet, Kyle, Jean, Deacon, of course, the regular names. We've got a couple of new ones there at the bottom of the list. Jean-Louis Smith, Ruan van der Walt, Michael Roux. Marius, these drivers, we've seen them able to be very precise. This is another level of precision they're going to have to add to their arsenal.
Yeah, I think there's, again, we spoke about this a lot at our last round at Interlagos, just in terms of how much strategy comes into play. And I know in our incident report for Assetto Corsa, there's strategy because of rules that have been put into place. But the strategy that comes in here, and I think it's actually quite exciting, because it literally does feel like what you would have seen in Formula One in France yesterday, where the guys are looking at tyre strategy. When do they come in? How many laps can they do? A lot of the Formula One guys will go into their fuel saving mode. They'll change the maps, and I'm sure Stephen can help us with this. But I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of that again, like we saw at Interlagos. Is when are the guys going to pit? Is it going to be a one-stop, probably a two-stop race? Who stops when? They're running on, I think, from what I recall, I was having a chat to Kyle, and he was saying they're running on the soft compound, so you're definitely not going to get through the whole race. So it looks like it might be a two-stop. I don't know what you've heard from the guys, Stephen.
Yeah, something very similar along the lines. I think the optimum timing the guys have worked out, it's fairly similar on all, but things like a two-stopper, you have to account for traffic, and then there's also the luck of the draw, as in any racing, if you have 5 guys two-stop and the rest of the field one stops, it might have a different result to if everyone two stops.
But you've also got a crazy long pit lane here, which is probably one of the longest of any of the circuits. So that is, I suppose, something that the guys would have been running simulations on, because that's going to make a big difference to your stop time, because ideally you'd want to try and stop once. But, if you're not going to get the ultimate performance out of it, you've just got to take that calculation into consideration. You've got a hell of a long pit stop.
Yeah, and it's quite a skill. We were speaking about it last time, where the guys change fuel maps in short shift and lift and coast.
Yeah.
From what I saw, some of the guys chatting on my team's chat, I'm assuming I'd be lucky to make 8 laps, because they're doing between 9 and 12 laps on a tank of fuel. So
wow.
I know when I've been on track with them, I try my hardest, change maps, and I still get nowhere near the same fuel consumption. So all these top guys, that's where the difference comes in. Just on there, it's nice to see the new guys like Michael Roux and Ruan joining the top division. They've both been around the top of GTSA for a while. In the top 3-4 pools I've raced against them, and it's good to see them in the top pool.
Well, fuel consumption in a 1600 isn't usually a consideration, but this 1.6 car pushes out 900 horsepower and weighs just 728 kilograms. It's a heck of a piece. It's a heck of a car, heck of a piece of engineering. I mean, Formula One cars are just the cutting edge, and this AMG or Mercedes AMG F1 car W8 is one of the best of all time.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've dominated Formula One for the last 7 years now, probably. Maybe this year it's a lot closer.
7 on the trot. 7 on the trot.
Yeah, it's a lot closer this season. But yeah, I mean, there's a part of me that loves Formula One for what it is. It's kind of like, let's discover space, let's push the boundaries. But sometimes in pushing the boundaries, you also end up ruining the racing. The cars have got so big and so wide that, now the debate is around, do we bother racing at Monaco? Because you cannot overtake, because the cars are literally so much bigger than they were in the old days. So sometimes technology is awesome, but I mean, it doesn't make for a great racing spectacle. But that is what we are always guaranteed with the Gran Turismo guys, because we've never had one of these races, Ernest, where it's been boring. And what Stephen's telling us with DRS being available all the time, having a long straight like the Kimmel Straight, I think there's going to be a lot more overtaking in race than what we've seen in the past. I know there were some incidents at Interlagos, and I mean, I don't know if Stephen wants to talk about that, because there was a bit of argy-bargy and pushing people offline.
Especially those last 2 corners, that was incredible to watch.
Which is something that we haven't really seen. You guys have kept it pretty clean. But Stephen, I don't know if you agree with that there'll be more overtaking in the race number 1, and then give us some updates if there's been any discussions around a couple of the more aggressive racing tactics in the last round.
Way just put me on the spot there. Yeah, I think the guys are all fairly well honed at this close racing. Ideally, you don't want to be nudging guys from behind, and that makes their exit for the next corner obviously compromised. And 1 or 2 incidents happened last race with that, where guys weren't happy. But I think at the end of the day, no one was penalised. There's just a couple warnings supposed to go out. I'm not sure if they actually have yet. I haven't checked on the Discord review panel. I think we're slightly behind on that. But yeah, generally the guys all know what to do and what's expected of them, so we won't have any issues, I don't think.
Well, you won't today as well. I mean, the car also lends itself to. I mean, when you in a GT type car, obviously it's a lot easier to tap and go door to door. You know, here you single seater style, so that's the one thing you're taught to avoid. So any passes you make, you're going to make them clean. But I just think with the DRS and Kimmel Straight, I think we're going to see more overtaking than what we've possibly seen before in the GT racing.
Well, that's the thing about Formula One cars, isn't it? Or any Formula car, when they touch wheels, they tend to one go in one direction and the other one goes up. So they kind of split each other off the circuit. So the guys don't want to be touching too much going around any of these corners.
That's obviously one place where Gran Turismo is not as sim as a lot of the others. You do have damage settings, but it's not like Formula One a Formula One game where if they touch wheels, you're going to see a 3-wheeled Mercedes going down the track and a wheel bouncing in the opposite direction.
Well, we've noticed that with Gran Turismo being a lot more forgiving, Stephen.
If there's a nudge from behind, you're not going to have a front wing coming off, which is a bit of a pity. But I think the F1 car was more part of the Lewis Hamilton downloadable content that they did as well, where it's got a bunch of time challenges that are quite difficult, and you get obviously in-game credit rewards for that if you beat all of his times. And I think it's a diamond trophy, and then the same car is rich.
Are you sure it's on diamond earrings?
No, those come in the mail. But the same car we raced last time actually was also you get a diamond per category, and at the end of it you get the Vision, but in the Lewis Hamilton colors. It was a red and black special edition that you can only win. But then they also obviously put the Formula One car where you can purchase it in the game like any other car.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Say what you want about his off-track antics. I mean, certainly on track, the guy is an absolute legend, and that car was absolutely phenomenal. With regard to the competition tonight, we've got a whole bunch of drivers that once again are used to being around each other, used to going door to door. Stephen, in your opinion, what do you think we're going to see tonight? Just briefly from you before we go to breaks, what do you think we're going to see tonight? Are we going to see lots of overtaking like Mario suggested, or are we going to see the strategy where the guys are behind each other, nose to tail, line to stern for the entire duration of the race?
Well, hopefully both. If there's guys on different strategies, the two stoppers might be caught behind one stoppers and have to make the overtake, otherwise their strategy is going to go to toast. And at the same time, if you're on the same strategy, then you've got to do it on track. So hopefully we're just going to see a lot of good racing. That's what I'm looking for.
Well, a lot of good racing is certainly what we've seen from these drivers so far this year. Dean Norke, Corne Esthuizen, Kyle Oosthuizen, Jean de Jager, but to name a few, these guys have been absolutely epic at just driving the wheels off these Mercedes-Benz. Kalen Mawa also gets an honorable mention, of course. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be going to break soon before we kick off this round of the ATK Pro Series, the Gran Turismo leg. Of course, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, powered by Motorsport South Africa, Carlo 9 Hour and Coach Dave Academy. My name is Ernest Page. The team is here tonight. We are about to go racing, folks. We'll see you guys after the break. is, folks. There she is. And that is, of course, RTA Safa there in currently third position. And he is one of the quickest drivers we saw him vying for position at the last round. But this time the guys are driving the Formula One car at the very iconic Spa-Franchorchamps circuit. Wow. Wow, the graphics in here look amazing, Marius. I mean, look at that.
No, listen, I mean, that's one thing that Gran Turismo really doesn't nail is the realism of the experience. I mean, anybody walking past my TV right now would think, gee, nice weather in Belgium, and then they think they're actually there, you know, pre-COVID days. No, it really is amazing. And it's also cool for us. I mean, that's what we spoke about it a few times, you know. What I like about this series is that everyone's driving in the same car. So it comes down to driver performance ultimately, and that's what you really want. And that is not what you get in Formula One today. You know what I mean? It is more about the car than necessarily about the driver. So at least we've got that a little bit different for our series. So nice to see a red Mercedes-Benz, obviously a Ferrari fan.
Interesting. Yeah. It's nice to have that KLM pace, of course. And how's that KLM pace just always doing something different, something interesting with the car livery? Of course, this is a Mercedes event, so he's now properly brought the cat amongst the pigeons here. But the car does look the part, though. It looks fantastic in that dark red KLM pace color over there. The KLM pace boys are going to be happy to be supporting their guy going into the next round. We got a heavy breather over there somewhere. So if someone on our stream is breathing heavily, please, there we go. That's better.
I was just noticing, have a look at how often that wing is just closed now, but we were talking about this just before heading into qualifying, that obviously there's no DRS detection zones like you would normally have down the Kimmel Straight. Here it is basically any time you want to deploy it. So have a look, you're going to see the wings open all the flipping time. So
it really does add a whole other dynamic, doesn't it, Marius?
Yeah, looks. I mean, obviously, you're going to make sure that thing is shut firmly the minute you want to get any rotation into a corner, because the level of downforce is insane. We were fiddling around with the idea of what sort of strategy the guys are going to sit and run, but I think also crucial, is about how well these guys work together as teammates. We saw that in Interlagos. You know, the guys really did work together, because in that way they helped themselves from a fuel saving perspective. They're also trying to make sure that as many of their teammates make it through to the finals. So yeah, and that is what you get in Formula One. It's the team working together as well. But have a look at the speed that these cars that they can take through these corners. It is literally crazy. Someone running off. Yeah. Someone ran out of talent. This is what people don't realize.
It looks like a bunch of numbers on a screen. But if you've ever driven a car or anything this fast, that's 320 kilometers an hour through a corner. This is the fast sweeping left area. 320 was his minimum speed through there. I mean, that is just mental.
And then have a look, you come down to the bus stop and it's an under 90 kg corner. But that's what happens, so easy to over-rotate. That rear axle is very lively when you're coming from 320 k's down to 90. But unbelievable. I mean, the level of downforce, and I think that for a driver, a hell of a lot easier for them knowing that this is in-game. Can you imagine what that must feel like strapped into a car for real? Oh. The level of trust in the equipment. Knowing that, I mean, if you go off there's serious problems.
It's a problem.
Now we're obviously looking at the Kimmel Straight, where this is the traditional big overtaking position for the guys in Formula One, as well as going into the bus stop. So hopefully we're going to get to see a bit of that. But yeah, a couple of new guys that Stephen was talking about as well. So interesting to see how they go.
Well, this is going to be one hell of an interesting situation for the new guys. I mean, they came into a round where, in my mind, this is really an extra level of detail that the drivers have to go through. And I mean, now coming up towards the right-hander, and then on the downhill section into turn number 10. And just look at this, Marius, just between turn number 10 and turn number 11, which is a very short little spurt of circuit, they open the flap there as well.
Yeah.
They open the wing there as well. This is really incredible stuff.
Yeah, listen. I mean, this is incredibly technical circuit, and I like what you were saying. Like for the new guys, maybe it's going to be a bit of a step up. But remember, they are here because they are good in this car. Same as what we've seen instead. Of course, the guys are running the seeding rounds, and they actually qualify to make it into Division 1, which is the equivalent of the Pro Division. So you might find for a lot of guys, they might spend more time in Gran Turismo driving in the Formula 1 car, because I mean at the end of the day it's the car you're never going to drive for real. So I see why a lot of guys would want to probably play with it in game, so leave the Honda Civic and let's go for the Mercedes AMG Formula 1 car, so I think everyone that's here is certainly going to be on the pace. But we have seen there definitely is a little talent pool. The guys that are running in the top 4-5 positions are literally in a league of their own, and I think combining car and track here, I think there might be a bigger division between the guys at the sharp end of the field.
I mean, just look at how twitchy that car is over those sections. As soon as you touch the curb, now going onto the downhill section, now 300 k's an hour, sweeping left-hander, high downforce section, and just a little bit wide there, and runs off the circuit. And those are the kind of mistakes you can come to expect. Not necessarily from RTS Safa. We haven't seen him make too many mistakes, but certainly anybody can.
Wow.
Going at those speeds, that was just incredible.
I'm just sitting and thinking, and some of them are doing this with controllers with their thumbs. I'm like, this is like fastest fingers first. You know what I mean? You've really got to be on it, because that's what I always find so difficult to dial in with the thumbs, is that level of throttle modulation. When you've got an accelerator pedal, you can feel I'm gently coming on, but it's quite difficult to modulate that, I find. With the controller, because often it's all or nothing, so real skill.
Goes to 4th place there.
That's brilliant, eh?
In the British racing car, British racing green, as they say. Hey, Marius, isn't that a stunning color as well?
But listen, this is impressive by him, because usually we see him running normally in like 8th position in race. So I think he'll be super stoked with a 4th. I know Stephen said to us that he's been super fast, and he's been, he's capable of running those top times. So could this be his race weekend? Tiki P, who we've had as a race winner, down in 5th, and then obviously the usual suspects right at the top. So we've got Dean, and I think that Juan in 2nd, and RTA Safa.
So far, just less than a second separating most of these guys. I mean, we saw there 0.6 of a second separating the top 6. So these guys are
jumped up to 3rd at the end there.
Oh, Snake jumped up to 3rd. That is a new person in this group, Michael Roux, into 3rd place. What has been going on? We're going straight into race. And Michael Roux, if I'm not mistaken, is this his first time in the Pro Division, Stephen?
Yeah.
Wow. So, Stephen, tell us a bit more about Michael Roux just before we start. Tell us a bit more about him?
I was saying earlier, it's just him, Ron, AM Racing, both clean, fast drivers that are normally around the top fringes. So I'm not surprised to see him up there at all.
Well, they need to be clean and fast. The lights are about to go out. Red lights on the start line, Spa-Franchorchamps. Oh my goodness me, the lights go green. It's a standing start. Look at all those tire smokes. It's so cool to see a standing start like this. In the lead goes Dino still. The 2 cars touch in the middle of the circuit. There, somebody might go around the outside. That looks like Sneaky. Sneaky might Safa might go around the outside there. So far, oh no, they touch. There's carnage. A bunch of cars have spun out. Someone's in the wall there. 2 cars go side by side. The DMR cars down the hill towards Eau Rouge. Oh, they touch as well. The 2 teammates touch, but make it through cleanly. More action at the back. And now the grid's starting to settle in a little bit there, but someone got the short end of the stick. DKP down in 8th position. We've got a race here. Snakey in 1st position there. Oh my goodness me, another DMR car goes into 3rd place. 4th place, RTA Leap in 4th with Sir Ian right behind him. Holy
I'm not sure what happened there, because the Safa was on Dino's outside going into the first turn.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if there's contact, but Safa's dropped right off the top 8 at the moment.
Oh, Safa and DKP out of the running at the moment, and this is not what they needed. This is not what they needed at all, as they make their way now.
Was absolute mayhem. I mean, we've been talking about how great these guys are at going door to door, and we haven't been seeing many incidents. And I think they've just gone and said, listen, the last 4 races, screw that. We're going to jam-pack it all into race number 5 and just go mad. I mean, what we saw there going through Radion was just crazy.
DMR action.
No, it was mad. I mean, like, at some point, you just don't go side by side through there. You know, you back off. But these guys were having a full go, and there is proper dogfighting.
Oh, there's more dogfighting happening. Yeah, that's RTA Elite trying to have a look there at Jean de Jager, RTA Elite with Jean de Jager go wheel to wheel as they make their way around the tight left hand over there. Now going into the first corner here, this is a very tight right-hander hairpin. 3 abreast so far. 3 into 1 does not go. It looks like somebody might touch there. Oh, the white car comes out in front there. It looks like RTA Elite. It comes out in front there. Let's have another look.
Yeah, so Ian in the green card did really well going in there. They all left each other with a lot of space. I know we're talking about fuel-saving modes and strategy. There's no fuel-saving at this.
This is not an economy run. This is not an economy run in the least. So Ian now attempting. Oh, so Ian touches front to back wheels there. He's very lucky to get away from that. No space given here. No space given here. So Ian has to fight his way into 5th position.
Yeah. You were saying there, Stephen. Sorry, you was just jumping back.
I was going to say, yeah, lots of action going on, but Michael Rue's running away at the front at the moment, so he's definitely on a whatever the most aggressive strategy is. Dino in 2nd, I think, possibly might be on the less aggressive strategy with the gap that's opening up. And then obviously in between, there's a mix, which is why some guys are in a rush to get past, and others are trying to save fuel.
So you've got a staggered sort of setup at the moment, which I love. That makes for great racing. It's a bit frustrating for the drivers that are chasing behind, like the one we're on board now, but certainly does make for some fantastic racing. This is Sir Ian over here in 5th place, currently going for 4th position. He's going to go around the outside here. He's down the inside for now, but there's a left-hander coming up ahead. They are touching wheel-to-wheel racing here at its absolute finest in the Mercedes-Benz ATK Pro Series. Through the fast left-hander they go. This is the final sector now. Will he go for the overtake in the very tight right-hander here? This is the spot. He lunges down side by side. Bit of a touch. There's action all over, but the overtake does not take place.
It's just mad to sit on board there. I was actually getting motion sickness because there's so much moving around. But you have a look, he's around the outside now. He's going to put a wheel on the grass, and he's gone and lost it. He's going to lose position. Yeah, possibly.
What are the RTA cars? RTA cars are in white there, or in silver at least. We can clearly see. So the RTA cars guys are running the silver.
There's a couple different colors. Ian's in green.
Oh, you guys nuts through Eau Rouge.
I think
absolutely wheel to wheel. This is dangerous driving, guys. This is dangerous driving. Look at that. Look at that wheel to wheel stuff up the hill now. 4 cars going into the right hander. Who's going to take it? So Ian in the green car gets through first. One of the RTA or DMR cars tried to sneak by as well. That's Jean de Jager behind Sir Ian in that yellow car over there. And DKP now back in the mix into 6th position.
It's just, listen, I mean, interesting what Stephen was saying earlier about the different strategies, and obviously for the DMR guys sitting in 1st and 2nd, we see it in Formula 1. I mean, they did it yesterday in the French GP. The Red Bull team did in terms of running different strategies with the drivers, 1 stop versus 2. So they could very well be running a similar strategy like that. So for Dean, he's not too worried about what Michael's doing up front, running away with things, because they know their teammates, they're working to different strategies. So important not to get caught up and entangle each other. But I must admit, it's like I struggle watching this, because for me, this is where the realism for the first time doesn't quite feel right. You know what I mean? Watching all the cars, we've seen it actually seems spot on, but the type of stuff we're seeing going on here, I mean, this would have ended up in a wall for all of them many turns ago.
Yeah, an incredible turn of events. Somebody gets a time penalty there, it looks like it.
I think he was doing a very good job for the teammates up front, because he's held Sir Ian, Deaky and Stignator back for quite a while. I see 2 of them getting past now, but you can see it spread that pack up quite a bit.
So, a quick one for you, Steve. Michael Roux in front, is he actually leading this race, or is he leading this race on paper at the moment till after the pit stops?
I have no idea, to be honest. No, Well, he's obviously leading on the track. We'll just have to see if he can push hard enough to make the time he needs to do the extra pit stop later, because it is a long pit stop. The track and Gran Turismo is probably 30 seconds round about there.
Yeah.
That's a very long pit lane, a very long pit lane.
Yeah, and I suppose that's what you've got to do now, is make the most of it, because I suppose for those guys too, stopping, what are we looking at here? Pit stops on like what, lap 7, lap 8, I guess. The guys would be hoping to probably get out of a stint, and obviously he's got no one helping him in front for slipstreaming and fuel saving mode. I think he's foot flat and just trying to open up a big gap, which he's done it. I mean, look at that. That's massive. We know how DMR Dino has dominated the racing, and he's just literally nowhere. Sure, that's fantastic driving by Michael Roux up front.
Yeah, Michael Roux in a class of his own at the moment. Is it a pit strategy? Is it just out and out raw pace? Dino now starting to get some pressure from Leap. Sir Ian in the mix there as well. This is a battle for second place. The green car has a look down the inside. Sorry, third place and fourth place. That's Sir Ian over there. So Ian trying to get that third place from Leap 33. That's Corner Este is there in third position. British Racing Green. Nice to see some separate colors here. I do like the silver livery, but also nice to see the guys mixing it up a little bit, making it a bit easier on the commentary team. We've got a couple of Jordans here as well, by the looks of things, Marius.
Yeah, we do. I love that color. It looks so good with the yellow wall soft tire. Very cool. What has happened to Kalen Mawa? We haven't seen him at all. Was he involved in that incident with RTA Safa as well?
Looks like it. I mean, he's all the way down the order. I'd love to see what the order looks like. Stephen, your thoughts?
Well, we saw, haven't seen the grid for a little bit, but Safa was down in 9th or 10th early on after that incident, and Ruan AM Racing, he was right at the back with quite a big gap. So I see SMP3 Pro down in 11th, pace in 9th. So we didn't get a replay of what happened there, but Safa was on the outside of Dean, so he possibly got nudged wide and lost a whole bunch of places, and then in the mid-pack there was obviously that chaos that put Ruan way off the back of the pack.
Well, the new mid-pack battle now taking place. Ian in 4th position there.
Oh, he's on fire. I mean, he's literally, he's really, I mean, because we haven't seen him, Stephen, running this far up. He's normally run about 8th or 9th, but he's obviously very fond of this car.
He's also
the last few races we haven't seen him because he's disconnected after a couple laps.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's never been at the sharp end. You know what I mean?
Oh, look at that! Look at that. Is that
great
position?
Move around the outside.
Position takes Leap there, gets third position. So Ian showing them the way around the circuit in the British Racing Green McLaren over there. One make racing at its finest. I mean, these cars are identical, aren't they, Marius?
Listen, I mean, that was a cracker move around the outside of the bus stop. I mean, the normal move is obviously trying to get up the inside, but that was committed and great work under braking. He's been putting RTA Leap under massive pressure the last couple of laps because this has really been the race action that we've been following. But obviously, Leap sitting in a great position now with maximum slipstream and DTP coming along for the ride as well. So this is going to be quite interesting when they get into the heavy braking points at the end of the Kimmel Straight. But yeah, from here on in, for the guys, there aren't really places to overtake here. You know, for me, it's about building the momentum, putting the pressure on, staying as close as you can, and waiting until you do the little run down to the bus stop eventually, which is a sweet spot for overtaking.
Yeah. Sweet spot for overtaking. Plenty overtaking spots by the looks of things. As someone gets it out of whack over there, that looks like DKP that got it very squirrely over there. RTA Leap getting pressure on DKP, someone that we know is right up on top of our championship standing, someone that's very, very fast, usually fighting for the lead, but this time in fifth position, fighting for 4th, and he's got a couple of guys in front of him that have some clear outright pace, such as Sir Ian. Of course, Dino K not getting many mentions there in 2nd position, but he's quite comfortably in 2nd position. And then in 1st place, Michael Roux. Wow. Michael Roux, the man that hasn't been featuring us. Oh, we've got a move coming up here. This is the RTA guys going up against each other. That is RTA Leap. We've got Isaac gets overtaken there by Stiganator. Beautifully around the outside. Once again, another overtake there. That was DKP. DKP gets overtaken the outside.
I was hoping that that RTA Leap 33 would have figured out now, because he's basically 2 laps in a row. He's been slapped with a pass around the outside. So I mean,
he got the call over the radio apparently. He got the team orders call over the radio.
Yes. Well, that for me is a funny place to do it. I would just wait until you pull out of the chicane and just let him take the spot on the run down to turn 1. You know,
if their team principal was named Marius, you would not be happy with him right now.
No, I don't mind. But I mean, for me, it's like interesting. He obviously believes that he's got better pace as Diki, and what we did see is that once Sir Ian got past RTA Leap, he's really opened up a good little gap, and he's obviously now trying to chase down DMR Dino, and he's doing that. Look at that, he's down within a second. So that is the battle for second. We don't know what the strategy is. These guys, my prediction, are probably all running 2 stops, or maybe the pace we're seeing from Sir Ian is because he is obviously on a 2-stop, and maybe Dean is on a 1-stop strategy, because Sir Ian really does have pace, and he's closed onto the back of Dean very, very quickly here. So I think this could very well be a different strategy we're seeing at play.
So where is Michael Roux? I don't see him on screen. I mean,
he's
I don't even
gone.
see him. If we could get eyes on him, I'd love our producer to cut in. We're going to go to
7-8 seconds up the road. What you can pay attention to on the bottom left of the speedo is the fuel gauge. Just have a little look and compare who's got more fuel and who's saving.
Quarter tank on this car, number 3. Quarter tank on the number 3 car. Let's have a look at some of the others.
Well,
look at the wing come open. Here comes the move around the outside, Marius. Oh, gets it, makes it stick. Sir Ian goes into second place, or does he? Gets pushed out again. Dino holds on to the position, and what a move so far there by Sir Ian. The fuel consumption is not looking good. I'm keen to see what the others are looking at, but Sir Ian and Dino now with a tussle for second position. This is for second position, folks. Sir Ian now once again lines him up against the hill.
Yeah, he's got him. So he's already got the pass done over here. So he's definitely running on a look at that. I mean, drove right past him. So it'd be nice to see if we can what fuel Dean has, because we saw we had a quarter tank in Ian's car. We're on board with our leader, Michael Roux, just literally run away with it. Interesting to see. I don't even know where the split time is, what sort of gap he's opened up there, but it's massive. So he really is racing on his own. Where's he been the rest of the championship, Stephen?
In the second division. Obviously, he's a big Formula 1 car fan.
I'm assuming that, or he took 2 weeks off and he's just been practicing. Okay, let's have a look at the fuel. Yeah, you see, so he's got more fuel. So
way
definitely
more fuel.
Dean is definitely running a one-stop strategy here, which is why Sir Ian really needs to get on with it. So those little battles
pointing that out.
Yeah,
pointing that out, Steve.
The battles that we saw with Ian earlier, I mean, that was really messing with his strategy, because he needed to get past these guys. Definitely running on a different fuel strategy.
Oh, so interesting.
To see Diki and Leap's fuel behind Dino.
Yeah, I'm sure they're also running heavy.
Diki just overtook Dino into third position. The shuffle is happening. Dino goes in, somebody's pitted.
Yeah.
So
Diki's gone into the pits.
Diki's gone into the pits. Leap in fourth position, but Diki now in the pit lane. What will the standings be after this? He's the first person to pit. Snakey still leads in front. Michael Roux, of course. But somebody else goes in. Stiganator goes in as well.
Yeah, you're going to see Sir Ian, I think, is going to be going in at the end of this lap for sure, because the pace that these guys were showing is definitely in keeping with the two-stopper. So, I mean, he got right onto the back of Dean, closed up, and as he did the pass, he just pulled into the pit. So that really hasn't played to their advantage, being caught up in mid-pack battles for the first 5 or 6 laps, you know, whereas for Dean, he's just gone on and clocking lap after lap. He knows exactly what he needs to circulate at, so that's definitely playing into his favor. You'll find that he'll be right there at the end of the race.
Yeah, I'm sure, and I'm sure these guys have worked out these strategies, but I'm not sure who's going to end up on top at the end of all this once the dust is settled, that's for sure. I mean, Steve, are you going to be willing to hazard a guess for us as to who do you think has got the tightest strategy, and what strategy might be the one that's going to work?
Well, just looking at the gap to guys like Kalen and Safa, I'm wondering, I might be totally wrong, but we can't see the fuel. They might be working together and going for a no-stopper. because then neither of them should be 20 seconds behind Dean or 12, 13 seconds behind Dean at this stage.
Ooh, so we got the no stop option as well now.
Possibly, just judging by how far off they are. I'm surprised to see Michael Roux going through another time.
Yeah.
So
Ian just pulled him to the
putting
pits.
Yeah, so Ian just went in.
Yeah, as predicted, he had to. But yeah, that's incredible what you were saying, Stephen. For Michael to be running the pace that he was up front and still not coming into pit. Now, what's interesting, so Ian, there was a 5 next to his tank, so it's 5 litres, I'm assuming.
Yeah, he was running
5%.
5%. Whereas, what's the name, Deaky, when he came in, was on 18%. So, here comes another option in terms of how you feel now. So, he could have done another lap or 2. So, there's a lot of strategy at play here. But, I mean, don't forget, Kalen Mawa and Kyle obviously involved in the incident early on. So, that's potentially ruined their race completely. But, I mean, I don't see how they can go to a no-stopper. Would they have been fueled for that?
Well, everyone starts on 100%, so I think the only way we could really tell is if we went to the onboard and checked their fuel at the moment.
Yeah, I think it'll be a real push, because I don't imagine any of them would have run simulations on that. You know, you're not calculating the fact that you're going to get taken out in turn 1, which I suppose you should, because at Spa, turn 1 at the start of a race is generally where all the chaos ends up. People on their roofs, Grosjean taking people out. Verstappen's done it a few times as well. So, so it's a track that's got a lot of incidents. But, interesting to see how this is all going to pan out. So, Kalen Pace, the moment, he's sitting there just below half a tank.
Wow.
So, they're definitely going to be running longer.
Are you kidding me that we now have a fuel battle unfolding right in front of us? So, we got 3 options here. We got the no stop, the 1 stop, and the 2 stop.
They won't make it to the end. There's no ways, because I mean you got 20 minutes to go. So this is going to be a one-stop strategy for them. I think they're going to try and go as long as they can. But I don't see how they'll get there. We see 3.
Snakey goes 3%. Into the pits.
3%. He was running on fumes.
Snakey goes into the pits there. He was in first position earlier on, and this is now how things will unfold. We're going to wait and see exactly how this gets affected. So Ian was second early on. Dino was third early on. And let's see what happens once the dust settles.
And this is crucial, because we see it in Formula 1 all the time. You know, getting the undercuts is critical. So Ian, we don't know how good his pit stop was. You know, that's the sort of information we're lucky to be able to have, because this is where races are won and lost. You know, we saw it happen yesterday as well. So I'd love to see what's happened there in terms of the fuel stop time, because that's going to decide this race. Dino back in the lead, obviously, now, because he's definitely running on a one-stop strategy. So it'll be interesting to see how this pans out at the end. So Ian all over the back of him again.
Yeah, unbelievable. Ian now in 5th place. Snakey now in 5th place. So Ian now. Oh, so Ian having a look at Snakey now. Now, so Ian, early on we saw had incredible pace, but Michael Roux kind of pace? Well, that's what we're going to find out now. He's been giving everybody the full beans, trying to overtake all the time. Very aggressive driving style, not holding back, not being intimidated by the big names here, and certainly not being intimidated by this Division 2 rival. Now stepping up to the plate, and down the inside he goes. Oh my goodness, through the left-hander, gets the maneuver.
Listen, this is a race for the win, because if you remember, both of them are running on 2-stop strategies here, so that was quite a crucial overtake. I don't know, Stephen, maybe you can tell us, but it did look like Michael sat in the pits for a long time. I don't know, he was obviously putting on the fuel, so I don't know if maybe Ian's gone fueled a little bit lighter for this stint, because again, you're going to look here, is it going to be 7 laps, 8 laps, so that can also change, but so Ian is gone. Really driven right around Michael, and now Michael's lost another position again to Deaky, so he's certainly not looking as quick as he was at the start of the race.
Yeah, it's a bit hard to tell without seeing their fuel levels, but we definitely have different strategies, seeing Leap and JDJ pit from the front of the field. The guys that pitted earlier, Sir Ian, DTP, have undercut quite a bit, but now they're going to have to go longer on the second set of tyres, so either they're going to have to save or fuel a lot or pit again. And the way they're pushing, it looks like they're going for the pit again option.
Yeah, I think they've got it. They're driving like freaking madmen. I think they've got to do that to make the strategy work. Have a look here. There's no fuel left in Dino's car, so Dean definitely pitting. So I don't know. Have we seen how many laps they've done? Is there anywhere that I can see a lap delta on this? Because so he's done 12 laps. Okay, so that's perfect. I think the guys were predicting. Carl was saying to me they were looking at probably a 22 lap race. So he literally has he's going to limp in here. But yeah, definitely a clear one-stop strategy done. How this pans out is going to be very interesting now because yeah, there's not much to choose, is there?
Yeah, there's not much to choose at all. And I mean, these guys are absolutely on the limit. This must be so intense. Oh, he goes into the pit lane there. I thought he had a bit of an oversteer moment. That's Dino there into the pit lane. As we said, he had zero fuel left.
Yeah, he's got zero fuel. There's no power coming out of that Mercedes engine at this moment. He's in full coast mode. But yeah, it's going to be a real interesting battle with 18 minutes to go, with very, very different strategies at play here.
Jean-Louis Smith goes into the pits, one of the DMR guys. He was in second position there for a little bit. Well done to him for getting it right up top. It was also nice for some of these guys to start mixing it at the front, even if there's a pit stop involved. It's nice to get some track time at the front of the pack in the Division 1. Yeah, Sir Ian.
So now this is crucial. He's now got to flip and calculate. He needs to open up like a really good 30-second lead because he is definitely going to have to pit again. So it's important that they don't sit and trip over each other, and at least he's opened up a good gap. They are teammates as well, so I don't expect Deke and Ian to mess around. They're going to work together here to open up as big a gap as they can.
Notice who's in third place there, KLM Pace.
Yeah, he's going to have to pit stop now. He's going to have to pit stop soon. I think you might find he might do another lap, and then he'll have to pull into the pits as well. So, yeah, after the incident early on, he's decided to run long in this race, which was the right call. But yeah, let's see where he's going to end up, because I think he'll probably find himself back down in 7th or 8th position again at the end of this.
Yeah, Sean de Jager, one of the big losers. Yeah, he was running 5th earlier on. He's now down in 8th position. Otier Safa in the mix now in 7th place. In 6th place, Otier Leap also in the mix now. And I mean, these are guys, we didn't see them in the top 5 earlier on. Now starting to creep their way towards that top 5 position.
Yeah, Leap was there. Safa wasn't. Remember, Carl was involved in that incident. So him and KLM Pace were running a similar strategy. But I'd love to see if they've pitted or not. We don't have indication of that, whether Carl has at this point. It becomes quite difficult for us commentating because we can't really see all that sort of stuff. And all we're talking about is how much strategy is going on here. But I'm kind of talking about it blind because I can't see. So have a look at Safa. He's going to pit now as well. So he's gone and run longer, and I expect Kalen to pull in now as well. There's definitely both of them are going to be pitching at the end of this lap. So they're trying to make the best of a horrible start to their Spa GP. So we're interesting to see how they play out at the end.
Sean de Jager, as we mentioned earlier on, way down the order, but with almost a full tank of fuel, with just 15 minutes of racing left. He might be going all the way through to the end. We think that's KLM Pace right behind him over there. But either way, this is Jean de Jager in 6th position, 20 seconds down. But 20 seconds isn't a lot when it comes to the pit lane at Spa-Franchorchamps. DKP in 2nd position. Well done to him for getting there. Sir Ian has taken the lead, and Snakey now in 3rd place. So the grid once again starting to settle a little bit. But certainly the lead has been snatched from Snakey over there. Well done to him, Michael Roux, for keeping that lead for as long as he did. But Sir Ian now has something to say about that.
I'd love to see what the lap delta is on between Dean and Ian, because what the gap is between 1st and 4th. So the gap between 1st and 4th at this time would be quite interesting to see, because what we're hoping to find here is that gap is being opened by Sir Ian, because he needs to, what are we talking, 25 seconds on a pit stop, Stephen, were you saying 30 seconds? No, but the whole time from travelling into the pit and leaving the other side, what is the cost? Do we know?
Probably 30 seconds roughly, so they're not going to, I don't think, open quite enough. Obviously, they wouldn't have put in as much fuel, which is why they've jumped couple guys. Michael might be interesting though, because at the pace he's going, I'm wondering if he didn't put too far from halfway, so maybe he switched onto a one-stop strategy.
Yeah, because that's the other thing the guys can do. They can sit and change their strategy halfway through. But yeah, our producer's just telling us that there's 11 seconds is what Sutton has opened between himself and Dean in fourth place. And Dean for us was the clear one-stop runner in the first couple of laps. But like you said, now maybe Michael's gone and done a switch on his strategy, because he ran away with it. And I can't understand how suddenly everyone just drove right around him. And the only way that can happen is a heavy fuel load.
Yeah, fuel certainly being the deciding factor today. Who'd have thought we've had these situations before, Marius, where we thought there was going to be a fuel strategy, but today, this is the big one. This is an intense fuel strategy that these guys are seeing through to the end of this incredible race.
Yeah, but I mean, anybody that's a fan of Formula One knows. I mean, the cars just don't perform anywhere near what they should when they're sitting with a full tank of fuel. The other thing to consider as well, if you are going on a two-stop strategy, is that, you're not putting in as much fuel. So if you are running 7 laps or 6 laps at the end of the race, you're running on worn tires with less fuel. So the guys that are running on a one-stop strategy, they're running those tires for a lot longer with a heavier fuel load. So there's a lot of stuff that you've got to sit and consider. I know for me, I'd probably want to have fresh tires at the end to have a full go at it.
Yeah, fresh tires and fuel load certainly makes a difference in a car. Weight, friction, all of these things matter, and these drivers are so good at managing those things. As we go on board once again, coming through the final corner. This looks like
we're on board with Deke. Check where his fuel is already. So he's down to a quarter tank. So he's going to have to be stopping pretty soon, which is right. I mean, we're on par here for the looking with just 12 minutes to go in the race. So he's hoping to probably get another lap out of this, and then he'll pull into the pits. But definitely hasn't opened up enough of a gap to secure second position. But it means he's going to be coming in lightly fueled and good rubber and be able to try and pace Dean down. So I expect things to be pretty interesting with 2 or 3 minutes to go in the Spa race.
Oh my goodness, I'm not sure what to expect, to be honest, Marius. There's so much happening here. There's so much strategy involved. And you know what, these guys, they are at the cutting edge of what knowledge there is around this circuit with these cars in this environment. These guys have been trying to get to the bottom of the strategy of this, and this is going to be some of the best, most up-to-date strategy possible. So we could see, as you say, something unfolding in the last 3 or so minutes, and I have no idea what that's going to be, but I look forward to seeing what happens.
Well, look at that. Definitely went and changed his fuel strategy, because we're on board now with Michael, with Snakey, and have a look, he's sitting just over half a tank. When we looked at Dean, who is running in fourth, if I remember correctly, Dean was running with like 3/4 of a tank. So then you look at Sir Ian was looking a little bit better off than Deaky, and those are guys in first and second running a clear two-stop strategy. So this is interesting, because you have a look at the gaps that have been opened up now. I think it's going to come down to a very close battle with a couple of minutes left at the end of the race. We've got 10 minutes to go now, but the strategy is all coming to a head. Stephen, any predictions now from you? Who's made the right call here?
Well, I think just looking at the time, the Deaky pits as we're talking, so Ian's also going to have to pit, so it's more than likely going to be between Michael and Dino, and I see Dino has brought the gap down from 2 seconds to about 1.2.
Yeah, but he's running a lot less fuel than Dean, a lot less fuel. Dean looked like his fuel pretty heavy, so I don't know if he's made a mistake there, perhaps, or maybe he's actually got the right amount of fuel. The guys have, but it just he looked like he's got a very heavy car. He had 3/4 of a tank.
Yeah,
I think he possibly make a difference.
Made sure he was fueled till the end, where Michael pitted a bit earlier, so he's probably managing, which is also why Dean's catching him.
Yeah. And we know Dean's had that problem before. Which race was it where he went into proper fuel saving mode, because he literally had to coast across the line? So Dean obviously not wanting to make that mistake again. But there's the gap. So it's 15 seconds between first and second. And like you said, you predicted it. Michael obviously having to into a bit of fuel saving here, because he changed strategy, ran away with it the first couple of laps, and looks like he took on a lot more fuel in that. But he's trying to make a two-stopper and convert it into a one-stopper, whereas Dean always had the strategy quite clearly laid out. He was running one stop the whole race. So it's important, in my opinion, for Michael to get out the way and let Dean through and not interfere with his strategy.
Well, Dean's championship title is certainly on the line, but he's got a substantial lead now, 20-point lead over Deacon. So Dean in first place with a point haul of 1,500. Oh, so Ian goes into the pits, and here comes the battle here. Snakey in third position there.
But that was great moves. I mean, as I predicted, just let Dean go past. He's running on a different strategy, and that's exactly what they've done. So it's good teamwork by the two of them. So it's going to be interesting to see how far behind Sir Ian is when he comes out, because this is now his final stop. So it's going to be a sprint race with 8 minutes to go.
He's in seventh place, and he was right with you. And so I think Dino's closest competition is going to be from Leap in third. Michael Root definitely did the right thing, switching to the one-stop strategy, just looking at how the second stops dropped Sir Ian and Deaky back.
The Ian now with 55% fuel. So Ian there with 55% fuel. So this is really, wow, man, what a strategy festival happening here. We haven't had an event with this many lead changes ever, I don't think.
Yeah, but I mean, this is what you see in Formula One, because it's not about people actually overtaking. The first couple of laps were amazing, because the overtaking was because guys were running with different on different strategies and different fuel loads. But what we're seeing now is literally that strategy coming to play. So there's the 20-second difference between the best of our two stoppers and the guys leading the race, which is Dean. And I just don't think there's enough time with seven minutes to go. It'll be interesting to see. That's a massive disparity in lap time. So if we could get a lap split delta in a lap's time, because by then Sir Ian will be up to speed, Dean's already running his laps. Be interesting to see what that closing point is.
Snakey now in second position. Well done to him. He was in first early on. He led early on. He's now currently in second position. Dino currently in first position. He was running third early on, now in first place. Leap was nowhere to be seen earlier on, but now currently in third. Well, actually he pitted. One of the first pitters, if I'm not mistaken, was RTA Leap, and now back into third position. Jean de Jager was fifth earlier on, dropped all the way down the order and is now fourth, but things can still shuffle up.
Yeah, but check have a look at that, because obviously Michael, as we predicted earlier, is in a bit of fuel saving mode because he's changed strategy. So I expect, and Stephen called it as well, there's going to be some real pressure from RTA Leap at the end of the race. He looks like the biggest threat to the two DMR guys, because he's running at about a second and a half quicker than Michael ahead of him. And I think
goodness.
it's fuel saving again. So I think that's going to be an easy overtake for RTA Leap. So the DMR guys, well done, Stephen. You've called it, under pressure from the RTA drivers represented by Leap.
It's a good drive by Leap. He's just been constantly banging out laps on his one stopper.
Yeah. I mean, just a phenomenal performance by all of these drivers. The confusion, because when you're fighting strategy with strategy, 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2, because the variables are ever changing because of what the other drivers are doing, isn't it, Marius?
Well, sure, but I mean, that's why you've got to race to your strategy. So it's crucial. The start becomes so important that you don't get involved in the nonsense. Let the guys go past, because all that they're doing is running according to lap delta, and that is what these guys are really good at doing. It. They set the lap, they know what they need to average lap after lap to achieve that strategy, and I think that's what Dino's done so flippin' well. Is he just said, off you go, Michael. I know you're on a different strategy. Run away from it. I'm not going to try and chase you. I know the lap times that I need to be putting in. I'd love to see what sort of lap times Sir Ian is putting in at the moment, and compare that with what Dino is running, because I think Dino's probably running about 140, 149s, 150s. Geez, that is massive. So he's doing 7 seconds a lap. So, there's a big disparity here. I just think he's going to run out of time.
Oh,
But I mean,
20
that is,
seconds.
what is Dean doing at the moment? I predict he must be doing 50s, 49s or 50s, because that's a massive difference in speed. Yeah, 149. So he's doing like 5 seconds a lap quicker. He's just run out of time. That's all that's happened.
Well,
But I
RTA
think he's going to push hard for a podium. Yeah.
So Ian looks like he's on an absolute charge in 5th position. He's not the only one. 3rd place is trying to get past 2nd. We've got 3rd place now. The gap down to less than a second as Snakey in 2nd position starts to feel the pressure now. 3 minutes and 30 seconds to go as they make their way down the hill. This is one of the fastest sections of this amazing course. I mean, just look at the speed that these guys carry through these corners. 200 kilometers an hour through this tight right-hander, 180 kilometers an hour through an even tighter left-hander, and look at that. Now the gap is well within striking distance, and I think we're going to be, as you say, Marius, those words, a grandstand finish is in our future.
Yeah, listen, I said 3 minutes we're going to start seeing guys coming together, and that's certainly happening. I just also love the fact that you're seeing blue skies around the entire length of Spa. That doesn't happen very often. I know a couple of weeks back when they had the Nürburgring 24 hours, the rain was so bad at Spa, and it obviously blew through to Neuschleife as well, that it was actually flowing over the pit lane. I mean, there were videos online, and it actually washed away this part of the first corner, and the next day the guys were already there repairing it. But we are so used to at Spa that you're getting intermittent weather conditions. It's dry in one part, raining in another part, but this has been beautiful fair weather racing, and the guys have made the most of it. But here comes the boss on the Kimmel Straight. He's got it done and dusted, driving right past him. So that's a good move for position. And well done. He's like, you're right, we haven't mentioned him, but RTA Elite doing a great job onto the podium in 2nd place. I don't think he's going to be able to do anything about Dean. Dean running another fantastic strategy again. I'd love to see what the gap has come down to. I can't believe it's still 20 seconds. There's no ways that is right. So I'd like to see where Sir Ian is, because that was the battle for 2nd and 3rd, and they are 3 or 4 corners ahead. So watch Sir Ian is pushing to get onto the podium, and I'm predicting that he will do it.
Yeah, Sir Ian pushing very hard. If he wants to get a podium position, he's got Snakey to contend with and Juan de Jager in 4th place. Currently, Juan de Jager is up the road, 3.3 seconds, but that gap is dropping very, very quickly, at 3.0 seconds now, and the gap is dropping ever so fast as we go on board now with Juan de Jager in what looks like the Bumblebee car, the Jordan from many years ago.
He's going to run out of time. It's actually so sad. I was hoping to see that strategy come together with, like now it'd be great with like 3 or 4 minutes left in the race. But listen, he's gambled and he was involved in some incredible on-track battles, was good old Sir Ian. But Juan, I don't think will hold on to 4th place. I think Sir Ian's definitely going to get that move done. But yeah, here's our leaders.
Something happened to Dino there.
Hey.
Dino's dropped.
Leap is in 1st.
Dino's dropped.
Yeah,
Dino's dropped down to 3rd.
What has happened? I think he's running out of fuel.
Oh my goodness.
Watch the grandstand finish here. So Ian definitely is in with a shot for a podium.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know what's happened there.
Oh my goodness. He's going flat out now, but I mean,
he's got no fuel
this
left.
will be the last lap.
Oh my God. Dino currently now in 3rd place. He's dropped out all the way from 1st. Dino now in 3rd place. Snakey in 2nd. Dino's got no fuel. You heard Marius exclaiming there, no fuel. This is not good. The team radio must be going crazy there. And Leap now in 1st place. So Ian chasing on. Juan de Jager now comes into view. Juan de Jager has got his teammate in front of him. More team orders coming to play. Ian barreling down on them.
This is the final fight. This is a fight for the final spot on the podium. I mean, it's unbelievable. I'm now seeing 2 minutes 50 remaining, but what is that? It can't be.
That's what's left. Last lap.
Okay, good.
So Ian bearing down on Juan de Jager and Dino now getting overtaken by Juan de Jager. Juan de Jager's going to have a look down the inside. He gets it. Juan de Jager gets. Oh, Sir Ian comes as well. Here comes Sir Ian now. Dino's going to get overtaken once again for the podium. Juan de Jager gets the podium. Sir Ian now in 4th place. He's going to go for that podium, but can he make it?
100%. He's got one last big overtake move. and they're busy running this is the run to it. I don't think he's going to make it. I think Jean's done enough. But RTA, Leap 33, flipping well done, mate. What a perfect strategy. He is stoked with that. And obviously Michael, we haven't seen him. He's first run in Division 1. Brilliant race. Have a look how close to Sir Ian, right on the back.
Jean de Jager.
Oh, wow. Trying. That was brilliant.
Fourth, beautiful stuff. Dino crosses the line eventually. Ooh, in fifth position.
I said it was going to be close at the end. That was closer than I thought.
What a fantastic race, folks. We're going to go to breaks. We'll see you guys after this with those results. And we are back. Esterhuizen, aka Leap, leaps into first position there with an incredible performance, a gritty battle all the way down the order, but Esterhuizen RTA Leap gets the win. Corner Esterhuizen in second position, a name you might not have seen anywhere near the top of the podium, and certainly not even in Division 1. That is Michael Roux, DMR Snakey, and well done to him. I mean, he literally fought his way through the entire race, led at one stage. I mean, just an incredible debut performance from him. Well done to Michael. You should be very proud of that second position. Jean de Jager, I think he's going to be happy with third. Jean de Jager finally gets into the mix, and early on we saw he was running way down the order, but these fuel strategies, Marius, you seem to understand this a bit better than most.
Well, listen, this is a very exciting podium, because I mean, these are not the usual suspects. You know, we had an incident that took out Kyle and Kalen. So these were guys that we're used to seeing in the battle for front, and Deaky's normally there as well. But these oaks just worked the strategy out perfectly. And I mean, Stephen called it, and he just said, listen, Corne's just going about his business, just putting in lap after lap after lap and making that single strategy work. And we saw Dean, man, he pitted with lots of time. How he got the fuel strategy wrong again, because it isn't the first time, is really quite something. But I mean, my driver that I was so excited for was Sir Ian, because geez, he was involved in a lot of battles, and I think if you ask him, he'll tell you that is where his podium was won and lost, was the first couple of laps in that race, because he was on a very different strategy to the guys, and he was involved in dogfights trying to get past people. You remember all the action that was going on, and if you're on that two-stop strategy, you've got to get away and get away clean. And that is why Michael was able to consolidate, change his strategy from a two-stop to a one-stop, and still be able to hang on to that podium position. So well done to him. But Stephen, great racing, and yeah, incredible strategy, and it's amazing to see it all come together. And that is what is cool here. We don't really see it working to the same level in the production cars, but when you go watch Formula One on your TVs on the weekend, this is the sort of stuff that you see.
Well, Stephen, from your side, I mean, there's so much shuffling happening over here. What are your thoughts? Who are the drivers that you think stood out the most with regard to strategy? We saw they all have out-and-out pace, but just from you, give me 3 drivers that you think played the best strategy here today.
Well, Leap, like Marius was saying just now, he nailed his one-stopper, and it paid off for him in the end. Michael, second place, coming from nowhere. That probably my driver of the day.
Same.
He got in front, built a 5-second lead, and then it stabilized around there. So he probably decided after 4 or 5 laps to switch his strategy.
Yeah.
And that you can see the difference that made between him and Sir Ian and Deaky, because they all look to be on the same strategy. And then Sir Ian gave us lots of entertainment, so he can get my 3rd vote.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that. Your insights have been so valuable tonight, because I tell you what, there was a lot going on here, Marius. There was a lot happening on screen today. But look at KLM Pace all the way down in 11th position. He's not going to be happy with that, I'm sure. DKP all the way down in 7th position. And DKP, of course, very high up on our championship standings. He's second currently.
As is Carl, who finished in 8th.
Carl was third in the championship. Yeah,
remember they were all involved in that first lap, first corner incident. So that pretty much ruined their race. But yeah, I mean, Carl's been great in just offering some insights into things. And I mean, they were predicting a 22-lap race. Well, they've run 21 laps. They were talking about managing like 146s, 147s, depending on what strategy you're running. And that's pretty much what they were doing in the end. But I love that, to be able to control a race car. And I remember, you watch Formula One, they've got a whole team of engineers that are in your ear telling you what to do.
Yeah.
These guys don't have that. So for someone like Michael, he made that call himself to go, listen, this isn't, I think, the right strategy. Let me change halfway through. So, I mean, that's unbelievable skill to be able to do that, to manage a Mercedes-Benz Formula One car around Spa and to be making strategy calls when it's you and you on your own, no whole flipping team to be helping you with that sort of call. So it was well done.
Bono wasn't around to help with that call. Dino, Michael's faster than you. One of those.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, but there's so much teamwork, and it looks like great team camaraderie. But the first couple of laps was chaos, Stephen. We've been singing the praises of these guys, and before the race, we're saying, in Formula One cars you can't go wheel to wheel because obviously open seaters, But geez, the Oaks were ignoring us.
Yeah, no, these guys were not pulling any punches here. But as Steve said, the game does allow for a little bit of argy-bargy, side-to-side, wheel-to-wheel racing, even in the Formula One cars, and that's exactly what we saw. As we said in the ATK Pro Series event from yesterday, Marius, you play within the rules that are stipulated, and according to these rules, you can have a little bit of friction here and there, a little bit of panel rubbing here and there, and if that's what needs to happen to get that win, sometimes as a race, within the rules, if you can do it and pull it off, that's what you've got to do. What an incredible night of racing. This is the penultimate round of the ATK Pro Series on PlayStation and Gran Turismo Sport. And there she is, folks, the AMG GT3, one of my personal favorite cars, and just a spectacular machine, running that unbelievably potent aspirated engine right at the front on that long, sleek and sexy bonnet. This is one of the premier cars in our ACC league, and now making its debut at the Nürburgring of all places, the most German circuit in the world with the most German car in the world, all in one place. Of course, this event was made possible by Mercedes-Benz, so it's such a pleasure to see the emblem flying high on this car. We will see you guys at the Nürburgring. Marius, any final words from you before we end the evening on yet another high?
It's just, I mean, like, just when you think you're getting the hang of GT sport, it all turns on its head, and that really came down to the car. So I'm really looking forward to seeing them in a GT car. We know how good this car is. You've mentioned it now. We've been seeing it dominating in a Assetto Corsa. So it's going to be interesting to see how the guys do that, and obviously at a circuit that is the home to Mercedes-Benz. So it's going to be a cracker final round, and obviously lots of calculations need to be done to ensure that guys qualify for the top 10 to make it through to the final shootout.
Final shootout's going to be epic. Stephen, from your side, what considerations do we take going into this circuit with this car?
It's just going to be, like Marius said, final showdown points or what's important to the guys. So for people like Diki and Safu, who didn't have a great race result tonight, there is a throwaway race, so your lowest score doesn't count. So they probably won't be too worried about it. on the other hand, guys like Sir Ian, who's had connection issues, so he's dropped into Division 2 occasionally, and also Michael, they'll want to obviously push and get 2 more good results and maybe squeak into the top 10 overall.
Yeah, an unbelievable turn of events here. The championship hotting up, but Dino K, the man so far to watch out for. Another awesome result for him. Diki P, RTA Safa, Jean de Jager, KLM Pace, all the boys in the top 5. An incredible championship on its way to its finale, which will be happening in the next couple of weeks. Stay tuned. Of course, this is powered by Mercedes-Benz, the ATK Pro Series, Motorsport South Africa, Kyalami 9 Hour, and now Coach Dave Academy. My name is Ernest Page, joined by Marius Roberts and Stephen. Of course, this is the ATK Pro Series. We'll see you guys at the next round. Cheers for now.